Howdy, my name is Jamie Kanya, and today I will be giving you my 222 final assessment video. So I got to do my field-based learning experience at Allen Academy. I got to coach the junior high and varsity volleyball players. One of my takeaways from that was I not only got to coach during practices, but I was invited to games as well. So I got to have my opinion thrown in during games, which I think is really huge considering I wasn't part of the coaching staff. I've done it before. I used to coach for a club team here in College Station, but club and school are completely different. So I think it's really neat that I finally got to get some school experience because that is what I will be going into. Another takeaway was I got to take a group of girls by myself. So I had the whole middle section of our volleyball team to myself, which was really fun because I got to create game plans and drills for all of them, which was really neat because that'll also give me a heads up in the future on how to do that when I get into my actual career. And it was just really cool that I had a whole new sense of responsibility because I had a whole group of girls under my belt and under my control. I think overall my biggest takeaway was that I got to build relationships with the coaches at the school. I got to talk to coaches who've been there for 20 years, and I even had some that were there for only a year. So I got a lot of constructive criticism, but I also got a lot of compliments on my coaching, which I think will take me very far in my future. In today's world, being an educator can be really rough. We are faced with many underlying problems that others might not be aware of. I think I learned a lot from researching my current event on socioeconomical statuses in our school. Our classroom should be a safe place to our students. Some tips I learned was to keep snacks in your classroom and make it aware that they are free for everyone at any time. Looking back when I was in high school, many of my teachers did this. I didn't realize how big of a luxury this was for many of my classmates. In our discussions about students with disabilities and special education, I realized so many different ways we can get every student involved, not only in the classroom, but also in extracurricular activities. My dad used to let some kids with special needs run in a track meet that our school hosted. The joy that this brought to these students is unforgettable. In my high school classes, I plan on doing a buddy program if possible to allow them to learn in my classroom with everybody else. I think everyone deserves the same opportunities to learn and be interactive with every student in the school. In today's society, coming out as LGBTQ+ is becoming very common. So it's our job as teachers to make sure our students are comfortable with being who they are. We also know that high school can be very rough and bullying can get pretty intense. It's on us as teachers to make sure that our classroom is a safe zone for everyone that is in it. Some ways we can make sure that happens is making sure everyone is aware of each other's pronouns. This may seem small, but for many this is a big deal. We could also start putting the history of LGBTQ+ in lesson plans, because at the end of the day, it is history and we should be informed on the subject in order to respect those in the community. I think a strength of mine is that I am able to speak my mind. So one of my goals as a teacher is to create a safe place that everyone knows that their voice should be heard and their voice is allowed to be heard. Now, obviously, that comes with a level of respect and being aware of your surroundings, but everyone's opinions matters, and I think everyone's voices should be heard no matter what their opinion is at the end of the day. Another strength is that I am a go-getter. Once I have a goal set, I will do anything to accomplish it. So, same with teaching and coaching. I won't give up on students or athletes no matter how much they don't believe in themselves. I will push them until they can get that success level like I know they can. My social skills are definitely my biggest strength. I grew up as a coach's kid, so I was always taught that there's never a stranger in sight. And I think that's a big factor in this field because you are going to constantly communicate with faculty, teachers, and even other coaches and teachers at other schools. You're always seeing someone somewhere. So I think that's just a really great way to also make connections, which in that field will take you a long way. So no one likes to talk about weaknesses, but here we go. So my first one is definitely procrastination. I tend to put a lot on my plate and I'm not really ever aware of what's due or when it's due, or I try and push it off to the last minute. So that's definitely one of my biggest flaws. And I think a strategy for overcoming that is really utilizing my calendar more. And maybe every Sunday I plan out my week and I make sure that I know what day I'm getting what done and make sure that I get it done that day. Because I also want that to go into my classroom too, because I don't want my kids to procrastinate, because then that'll hurt me as well. Now, the second one is my anxiety. I definitely let it get the best of me. While I seem as a confident person, sometimes I have no faith in myself. And coming from a girl who always wants her kids to have faith in them, I need to have faith in myself as well. So, overcoming that, I could really just sit back and do self-care more than anything. Sometimes I just like to go and go and go, and sometimes I really just need to sit back and relax and not do anything at all. Now, the third one is putting too much on my plate. I'm a very active person and I like to be involved in many different things, but that leads to my procrastination and my anxiety, and then I'm drowning in my work. So, some strengths for that is I need to evaluate really like what's more important and what's going to help me in the long run more than anything, and utilize those more than just the ones that I'm just in for fun, and that's how I can help that week. No matter what student walks into my room, they will always be welcomed. Before every period, I will be outside my door welcoming students and showing them how happy I am to have them there. I think that makes a huge difference and allows your students to feel welcomed. I also think it puts them in a better mood and ready to learn for the day. For my students with a low socioeconomical status or just a rough life at home, I will create a safe place by having snacks, waters, and even some clean clothing like socks and t-shirts to make sure they don't feel embarrassed by their appearance or their at-home life. As for my students in the LGBTQ+ community, they will not have to feel like they can't be who they are in my classroom. Their pronouns and other preferences will be respected by everyone in my room. Since I'm going to be an English teacher, I would also like to maybe try reading books that involve members of the LGBTQ+ community as characters in it to open up that another world of reading.